Court is now in session for the trial of Sonic the Hedgehog. Is the prosecution ready to present its case?
Of course, Your Honor.
I gotta be honest, never expected Sonic himself to get accused of woke propaganda.
Neither have I, Your Honor. Cadillac, did you really need to bring this to court?
Oh, hush, Sophia. We started this discussion. You'll have to see it through now. I will not accept defeat.
I should have grabbed my own shit.
This is gonna be fun.
Silence, defendant. Let me, a server of the truth, bring true justice to these holy halls. As many of us should know already, Sonic the Hedgehog has always been about the good values, bringing people together through positive and traditional messaging. But this context has flipped on its head, as now a carrier of good values has shown his true colors, serving as way for words and values of progressive propaganda. Exhibit A. Exhibit B. As we can see, there's heavily implied romance between Sonic and Shadow.
If she presents points like these, then it's gonna be easy to break her case. Objection! Hey, it's only implied romance. It's hardly even proof of any kind of propaganda. You know, it's not like romance is propaganda.
I'm afraid the defense brings up a convincing point. Romance isn't propaganda.
Oh, Your Honor, please don't encourage Sophia's sudden interrupting, for my final exhibit will show it all.
Uh-oh. Why don't I like where this is going?
Take that! Exhibit C showcases a cute image of Whisper and Tango holding hands. Notice something there here? The background colors resembles are directly the lesbian flag. And undeniably, what this flag represents is political, since it represents the progressive movement.
There's no way you're gonna bite that, right?
I see. This makes things clearer. Sonic is pushing political propaganda nowadays.
Wait, hold on. Your Honor, the lesbian flag isn't inherently political. This can just be a representation of their romance. It could just be a representation of their romance.
No, I believe it is quite obvious. Cadillac's argument is sound. Besides, you can prove it doesn't mean that, right?
You're asking me to prove a negative. This can't...
Sorry, Sophia writes. By this time, this discussion ends with me winning.
This can't... No. I gotta think of something. Sonic's counting on me. Just look how desperate he is. I know. I gotta turn my thinking around. I can't prove a negative, but I can prove the entire basis of this argument to be wrong.
I can't wait to brag about this later.
If there's nothing more to add, I shall end over my very...
Hold it! Your Honor, wait! The defense is opposed. I'd like to ask for at least 20 minutes of the court's time to present.
Where did this come from?
Very well, Miss Wright. From the top, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. If you've consumed any media, surely you've read an idea being presented, expressed, and inherently, the idea is ideological. Of course, nowadays, and ever since before too, we live in a society where people cannot discern critique from personal attack, and that any and all things going against what they believe in must be eradicated because they cannot comprehend an idea different in there. And ironically, they feel like others can't understand an idea different than their own as well. But how does this relate to the title of the video about Sonic? Well, I strongly believe that this applies to him, as he's been misunderstood over the years as a series, and how its values got twisted upon its head to corroborate to an idea that which should stick to the status quo. Essentially, Sonic's being called woke now, and that his series is now inherently bad for being too political, and others arguing that he never was. I think the Sonic the Hedgehog series has been woke since the start.
Right on!
First of all, let's clarify a couple things. What do I mean by progressive ideals? Well, by that I mean accepting minorities as a part of society, wanting them to be represented in the media, and believing that the word woke at least its misused version, is just a buzzword that's used to discredit the representation of those people. You know, like how people have been calling Disney woke over the whole gay kisses and black people with roles in the remakes. However, in the vein of Sonic, because, oh boy. I've seen time and time again people on YouTube calling Sonic woke over supposed censorship in Shadow Generations, the hate towards the Sonic Free movie by you-know-who, and even Sonic fans themselves saying that Sonic has become evidently more and more progressive. The goal of this video is to hopefully convince you, audience, that Sonic has been always shared these so-called woke ideals since its time of conception, and that these expressions don't break the franchise, but are an evolution of it. Because the franchise itself has always embraced these so-called woke ideals with messages about the environment, diverse characters, and close-bonded relationship with black culture. But where am I coming from with these bold statements, you're probably thinking? Let's find out. Sonic was created in 1991 to knock off Nintendo from its pedestal, with a character that was supposed to be much more fun and radical, dude, than the boring traditional Mario. Naoto Oshima, Sonic's character designer, had inspired his design from Christmas and, secondly, Michael Jackson. The first game of the series was supposedly to release in America first and cater towards that public, yet brought an interesting twist by bringing environmentalist ideals through its characters. Sonic, the blue hedgehog, representing nature, going up against a fat existentialist man called Eggman in the east and Robotnik in the west. That's a story you've heard before, and it's safe to say that Sonic the Hedgehog held a very tight grasp on the concept of environmentalism, which makes it progressive in of itself due to it align with social justice and the progression of us as a society. Dr. Eggman being a perfect example of an opponent for this character, which is a character who stomps on machinery and not nature, unlike a certain plumber man, and who from the start had a clear positive and punk philosophy. But wait, classic Sonic was unable to speak, right? So how come he had this punk philosophy? Well, in the classic games he did speak, but not just directly. In the Japanese Sonic manual, Sonic gives a speech about taking action, inviting the player to partake into their dreams. But back to the focus of environmentalism. It does prove one thing wrong about these people. Sonic was always political, because the environment is a very important political theme, and it's considered kinda taboo to discuss now with the whole topic of climate changes and a certain you-know-who. Even back then, though. So this tiny hedgehog was making political commentary ever since. But you may think it was never a constant, and well, you'd be wrong. And to prove this, let's get our Sega CD and make a trip to the past with, you guessed it, Sonic CD. Sonic CD takes the starting theme of environmentalism from the first game and expands it up to 11. Sonic CD was released in 1993, canonically taking place before Sonic 2, and oh boy, it's a great expression of the theme of the series. For the first intro cutscene, you can tell Sonic sees Little Planet, the small planetoid that goes to Earth once a year and then leaves back to space. This planet is beautiful and full of life, representing nature, until Dr. Eggman, the industrialist man, goes to find the 7 time zones that control time within that planet, and Eggman uses it to take over the past, future, and present. The game shows a desolate future, soulless with mechanical machinery everywhere, and the past being clean and full of life. Here the game clearly invites you, the player, as an actor into the act of environmentally helping fix Little Planet, which is a clear expression of environmentalist ideas in of itself, because it gives the player a message that actively we can fix our planet, and that we can indeed be good people if we try. The game lets you beat it without caring about it, but shows the consequences of everything being taken over, and Sonic still suffering from the mechanized future. The Japanese song in the game's OST, Believe in Yourself, in Sonic CD expresses clearly to the player that they can take action to save Little Planet and inherently the world. We can also see Sonic's first rival, Metal Sonic. Unlike Sonic, he's an evil copy, made to show the evilness in technology, basically representing AI at this point, as well as a robot made to destroy Sonic himself. Like humanity often copies nature, despite destroying it. Eggman also uses plants to power his machinery, showing how people harvest nature carelessly. Despite all of this, the game still manages to be motivational with this messaging, and be positive to let the player know they can do it, that they can change the future through changing their past. It's a very positive meaning, and a message regarding the theme of environmentalism that's beautifully written and clearly shows the progressiveness within it, as well as being political and having an amazing OST. And since I'm in the mood to jam, how about we actually discuss the OST in Sonic, since it also goes in hand. Let's talk about black people and marginalized groups in Sonic. How about I tell you that the song you're reading right now is sampled from a Black song? Well, a song made by a Black person. Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog's OST's Black influence didn't start in Wrapped in Black for Sonic Rush. In fact, Spring Yard was sampled from Every Little Step by Bobby Brown in the very first game of the series. Not to mention, other Black influence or marginalized group influence in Sonic was also that Michael Jackson made the songs for Sonic 3 and Knuckles, at least some of them, even if he didn't like the result of it, ended up asking to be uncredited in the end. But remember how I just mentioned Sonic CD? Most soundtracks from that game are also sampled from Black people. Oh well, Black people's songs. And even in the future, post-Sonic 06, Sonic Rush also sampled a lot of Black albums and a Black Rights Parade, just to show that Sonic's OST is a small but big part of Sonic's relationship with marginalized groups and Black people. But if you want some more detailed analysis on Sonic and Black culture specifically, you can check out Malcolm X Knox's video titled How Black Culture Influenced Sonic the Hedgehog. It's interesting how this little guy resonated with several minorities in a way that no other franchise could. While Mario was focusing on wrecking bugs and saving Princess, Sonic stood in the same size as hip-hop culture relating to defending minorities and those in need. Sonic helped Tails as well, which is also part of a marginalized group in a way if you really look into it. Tails, or Miles Brower, has a birth defect that made him be born with two tails, and he was bullied for it. While Sonic found it cool and made it something to be embraced about the Fox Cub, Sonic has always found weird people cool and stood on their side no matter how odd. Sonic encouraged them to express themselves, like Sonic turning down a meeting with the president to help a disabled girl follow her dreams and giving her a reason to live in Sonic X, and even helping her express herself to her parents. Sonic always stood up for those in need, which follows his bio. The only thing that Sonic hates is oppression. The Sonic franchise never depicted any group as any less than others. As seen in Sonic Unleashed, every member of every single country is depicted as people, with no racial stereotypes. For the Black people in Missouri either. In fact, they embrace Sonic himself as well. Sonic has taken a clear stance of no tolerance to racism, and even given voices to Black people through Knuckles and his theme song, Unknown from ME. All of Knuckles' theme songs in Sonic Adventure 2 were sung by Black people. Well, one specific Black guy. Sonic was also never shy from LGBTQ representation or playing with the concept of gender from even earlier than expected. Staying in the topic of Sonic Unleashed, Chip, character introduced in the game, obviously you know who Chip is, and the original Japanese dub has no pronouns and is constantly referred to as Chip consistently. Chip also is androgynously voiced, with a childlike voice.
名前はライトガイア。昼と光の力を受けて星を再生に導くもの。ダークガイアからこの星を守るのが役目だったんだ。
But if that's not even the evidence enough for you, in the Archie comics, even if I don't like those comics, has Gilda Tenrick as a, quote, shameless lesbian, and Sally Ockhorn having a planned romance of Nicole the Lynx before the comics were cancelled, which most likely evolved into Tingle and Whisper, as they were written by Ian Flynn, which ties back to LGBTQ roots, to even before the IDW comics, since Ian Flynn had also written the comics since the pre-Genesis Wave era. So to wrap it all up, the idea that Sonic is only now being progressive is misinformed. The character has always taken progressive stances since conception, embracing people of all kinds and types, embracing freedom, which doesn't at all contradict progressive values, rather enhances them. Sonic was the same character who gave Chaos a second chance when everyone thought they could just be sealed off. Sonic doesn't refuse the idea of helping those in need, and sure as heck wouldn't refuse the idea of defending or parading with marginalized group. Again, to say that the franchise is only now showing these ideals is like eating a sandwich with pickles in it, enjoying the pickles without knowing they're there, then later noticing the pickles and saying that it wasn't even there in the first place, even if the taste was obvious. And that is why I believe Sonic the Hedgehog has been woke since the start.
Sorry, but I don't associate with trash.
Transphobes, racists, ableists, sexists, and homophobes.